Welcome to another edition of Insurance Questions Podcast. But it's Tuesday. It's not Insurance Questions Podcast. Donnie, what day is it?
Today is
I usually
It's
ask
tax-
Sarah.
You
tax
do.
questions. It's your
Taco
tax
Tuesday.
questions.
Yep, that is Donnie
Taco
said. It's
Tuesday,
Taco
tax
Tuesday.
questions.
And as soon as we're done taping, I will be walking myself over to Taco Casa. My belly doesn't like it, but I do. So what day is it, Sarah? I couldn't hear Don. He was like, blah, 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 blah.
Tax questions podcast. Yeah,
There you go.
So for, the geeks like me that are keeping track, this is episode 73 of Insurance Questions Podcast, number 5 of Tax Questions Podcast. Easy for me to say.
That's right.
So just so everybody knows, Sarah was just using her mom voice hollering at me and Donnie Lowe, which we did. We deserve it. We do.
I guess so.
Oh yeah, no, you totally do.
We do.
Like, I'm
And
pretty
doesn't
sure
Sarah-
people who listen to us on a regular basis are like, it's Eddie.
And doesn't Sarah look extra fancy and pretty with her new light she's using? She looks
Look at that.
fantastic. Oh, she's voguing. You can't sing it because we'll get taken down. No.
I wouldn't call that voguing. This is voguing.
Ah,
Anyways, all the sass and salt from Sassy Sarah, Eddie Buffalo, and from Donnie Lowe, and all the information and opinions are for solely entertainment purposes. Bam! Look at that.
Yes, and like, subscribe, follow, do the fan mail. You can comment on the YouTube videos. Any questions you may have for future podcasts, whether that's for tax or insurance.
Like, I got to tell you, it's pretty entertaining when we're sitting around trying to figure out what we're going to talk about. I think that should be taped, but Sarah's got a mouth on her, so
Oh yeah, no,
she's not a good Catholic boy like me.
Oh well, hopefully I'm not a Catholic boy.
know.
That would be a little discerning because I have 2 kids.
So today, we had a question from our guest last week. I haven't paid my taxes in 2 years. Am I gonna go to jail? And we kind of are going in all different directions, but I'll let our host speak because this is Sassy Sarah's show, not Eddie Buffalo's.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, look at that. Okay, so one of the questions that was asked last week was, will I go to jail if I haven't filed my taxes? So there's a few scenarios. If you haven't filed your taxes and you are owed a refund based off the information the IRS has, or you're under the filing minimum, I don't want to say they don't care. The filing minimum, they don't care because you're not required to. If they owe you money, they're not going to sit there and knock on your door and say, hey, here's the money I owe you. And then after 3 years, you never get that refund. You forfeit the refund just because you never filed.
only 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. And then if you owe taxes, they will definitely knock on your door and say, hey, you haven't filed. But what's worse is they will say, this is all the information we received for your income. This is how much you owe. And they give you the standard deduction. So if you have all these other deductions that you can add, they disregard those. They send you a letter and say, this is how much in taxes you owe. And you can always then file or let them know like, hey, no, these are all the extra things. And it starts a dialogue with them. But they will come and get the money. They typically don't throw you in jail unless it's a lot of money owed and it's many a year. Think Al Capone not filing his illegal tax money that he received. If you're curious, go back to a few podcasts of tax questions and you'll see that one.
I have like 2 questions for you.
Sure.
Let me know when I can ask. And if Donnie, if you have questions to ask, I don't want to take over the whole show. 2 things, and this is kind of, I got a wacky question, but I got a real question. I was looking on the interweb, and they said that that the IRS is only looking at people that owe a poop ton of money on insurance, on taxes to go after, and that threshold is $250,000. That's not true?
No, I have people who aren't in that threshold receiving letters because they owe the IRS money. Supposedly with the audits, they're not going after the people who are doing the earned income or child tax credit. And they're saying it's because it targets low income families and they're trying to move away from it. The only situation with that is the reason they were auditing those returns more was because that provided more chances of fraud, such as Eddie, you claiming a child who you don't have. Yeah. Which
That
does
I
happen.
know of.
Yes, which does happen. I mean, people are like, hey, you need a tax refund. I'm not filing. Here's my kid. Give me some money for whatever refund.
No, I got a pen in my hand. Am I gonna write something down? No.
Probably. So there's definitely fraud there, which was why they always audited it. It wasn't because it was low income. It was just because it higher chance of fraud. I do know that they are going to, from everything they say, they're going after the higher net worth individuals. I also know a lot of people who haven't filed in a few years to a few decades, and you know they owe money.
They're going to
and
jail, Katie. Just so you know, Katie. I bet you those folks are going to jail.
not just jail. If you have, let's say you have a house, they're probably going to come for your house. There's a few filings that need to go through. You need to go to tax court. It does take a while. I mean, you're making them fill out more paperwork. They're more willing to negotiate, so they don't have to go to the extreme of taking your house, but they can garnish your wages.
I was going to ask you, what's the
They can do a
trigger
lot
for
of things.
garnishment or collections?
It really depends on, if you owe a certain amount, they're just going to start taking your stuff. I have a client and he makes the payments to the IRS, but if he tries to figure out what his balances are, they're like, oh, you owe X amount. We need to take your stuff, because he falls into that next bracket, but they won't talk to him and he's making payments. Like, it's this whole weird scenario. So yeah, but to get back to topic, I will use that next time. That will be next week.
I told you I have a weird question, which
You
we
have a
already
weird
talked
question.
about this week. And the question was, say I'm working my job, I'm working at Walmart, I'm a greeter. Hey, welcome to Walmart. And I shot a guy in October. And I did it. They take me right off to jail. Who pays my taxes from January to October?
Yes. So there's a few things. Some prisons, or I should say, I don't know. I've never been in prison. I did some research on it.
Are
It's
you
a little
sure about
sketchy
that,
of the
Sarah?
information. I have not. I have been in the back of the car and I went from holding cell to holding cell, but that was sitting out tickets when I was 18.
Got
So I
your
like to
bologna
say,
sandwiches and graham crackers.
well, no, I had a ticket that went to warrant and I sat it out when that could be forgiven. And shortly after doing that, they got rid of that.
Excuse
but
my
anywho,
language, folks.
what's really awesome is I like to use it for my street cred. But,
Going back to my question, I hate it when you interrupt me, Sarah.
whatever. Anyways, so prisons should have availability to provide volunteers who can file taxes.
Now, I had two other to go on top of this that we talked about one and not the other.
Hold on. But it depends on if it's a simplistic one. Like, for example, you had W-2s. They're not going to take a complicated return of you had a business and real estate assets, and those aren't going to happen. It's going to be a very straightforward return. If you have someone you trust, such as a spouse or a good friend or family member, you can sign over a power of attorney where they can provide everything to an accountant, CPA, tax preparer.
Or if you don't have a family.
Everything. Yeah. And they do everything, review it. You can even work it out where they come and visit you and bring you the documents for you to sign to make sure everything's accurate. And that's if you can also file an extension where you get 6 months. So it depends on how long you're going to be in.
Right.
And then also it depends on if you earn wages in jail. if you
That
fall
was,
within
that was my
minimum.
other question.
It
Number
was.
one, how do I pay taxes on that money that I'm making at the prison laundry? And am I a W-2 employee or am I a special category because I'm easy for me.
I'm gonna have to look,
Incarcerated.
I'm gonna have to look up if you're a W-2. I doubt you're a W-2. But that's not, I don't have a lot of people who are inmates as clients. So I'll do further research and get back to you on that one. But typically it's if you are under the minimum. So for example, if you're a single filer, 2023, and you were under the age of 65, you could make up to $13,849 and not need to
What
file.
was the amount on that again? I'm sorry.
$13,849. If you're claiming head of household, which is hard when you're incarcerated, but
Right.
you can still be running the household if you have a lot of assets in the background. But you can earn up to, and I say up to because if you make 13,850, you need to file as a single filer. Head of household, it's 20,800. You have to file. Married filing jointly. If both spouses are under 65, 27,700. And if one is over 65, it's 29,200.
Okay.
And
So you,
here's a fun fact. If you're married filing separately, how much do you think it is?
I'm the insurance guy. I'm not a tax person.
$5 is what it says.
How much?
$5?
$5.
$5 make you holla. Yeah.
Well, that's from the IRS web. That was on like,
Okay,
no,
Donnie,
it's on the
I'm gonna
IRS
say
website, $5, and qualifying spouse, surviving spouse is the same as
Okay.
married filing.
Question 1B. Donnie, I'm gonna use you as an example, not that this is anything that you've done in your life, okay? Donnie ends up not being with his wife, see the kids for years, stopped paying his taxes 3 years ago, kills me. Shocker, right? And he goes to jail for the rest of his life. Like, screw you, I ain't gonna pay my taxes. What happens in that case?
Hold on.
Way too much.
Hold on.
There.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Are you sure that the jury won't let him free?
Oh, he admitted it. So he's going right to jail.
No,
And
no,
I
no.
don't-
Well, I think
I
you're
just
missing the
mean
point.
that he
Adam.
I
can
don't
show
like your
example
attitude,
of
Salty
who you
Sarah.
are.
Yes. From now on, Sarah will be named as Salty Sarah on the Salty Sarah podcast show for taxes. I don't like her at
Yes.
all. No.
Sorry, I missed your question because I so wanted to interrupt you on that piece.
I don't
so
even know what I asked you.
He
At
goes
this
to
point.
jail, the spouse
He's in jail
leaves.
and he owes money. He ain't gonna ever pay it. He'll say, screw you, IRS.
So same
Penalize him in jail.
scenario. Same scenario happens. And if it was him and his wife together that owed the taxes, she's also liable for it.
To me. I said you haven't seen your wife in years. You have no connection to anybody in your family.
Right.
If you're not separated, if you're
Oh,
not
she divorced
legally-
his ass. She said, I'm done with him. He's on the skids.
But if she was married to him at the time, even if they're separated, depending on the state, I should say if they're separated. But when it comes to the IRS, if they are together, married, she owes part of the taxes.
So
If they're divorced, if he does not have a simple return where he can file it for free, he needs to find someone who can help him.
So this is a teachable moment for you, Donnie. If you decide you want to start boozing it up and doing drugs and whoring around, you know, make sure you divorce your wife first. Okay. You know, it
So
must,
that she's not brought into it.
do you guys even look at what I send you in the morning? It was a really good one today.
You send so much stuff and so early, sir.
You know what? We're all up early, so just suck it up.
So even though somebody files an extension, they still have to pay what the estimated taxes are before
Yes.
they complete it, right?
Yes, that is correct. So by April 15th, you have to pay all estimated taxes, even if you file an extension. If you don't, you get hit with a non-payment penalty. Even if you file an extension, you'll get hit with a non-payment penalty and then interest until you make a payment.
All right.
Yeah, I just thought this was very timely since Sarah's teaching us so much today. When you learn, teach. When you get, give.
That was a very good one.
She didn't even read it. Like you tell.
I did not
her
read it
face.
this morning, no.
You tell
I
by her
was
face.
tired.
Yo, Sarah, WTF? Why the face?
I always make faces. I don't know what you're talking about. Funny story. So my daughter worked with and this is completely off topic. My daughter worked with my brother at a Family Dollar that
This is not a
he
funny story,
manages.
Sarah.
And the people there are like, yeah, we can't really tell that you're family until, y'all start making the same exact faces. And she's like, yeah, they told me I make his faces. No, you make my face and he's my brother. So he makes the face.
Who's older though? Because whoever's older, it's their face first, Sarah. I'm
He's
sorry.
18 months older, but I refuse. It's my face. I'm more expressive. What's funny is both my kids do it. Like they'll make a face and I'm like, oh, I know what's going through that brain. It's awesome.
So Sarah, Donnie's been awfully quiet today. I think he needs to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Well, I already did ask a
You
question.
need to ask another one.
I'll ask another question. I guess regarding if you're in prison, you have to file your taxes, and, all of that. And you already touched upon services that may or may not be available to the inmates, right?
Right.
To assist with that. But again, to the scenario that Eddie brought up, I don't care what happens. I'm in prison for the rest of my life.
Right.
Take whatever you want. I mean,
right.
What can
Essentially,
happen?
yes. If you're going to get out, I mean, does it really, it's the same scenario. Like you'll just owe them a bunch of money. So I'm not saying don't pay your taxes or file your taxes. But yeah,
So
you're still required to file if you meet the filing requirements.
if I'm in jail and I make a really nice shiv, like out of a spoon, and I want to sell that on Etsy or Amazon, is that illegal? And what are the tax implications?
You're not supposed to have shifts in jail.
Oh, they have them. They have them.
I
Donnie,
said you're not
you used to
supposed
make
to.
some nice ones when you were in jail. You used to send me the pictures.
Those
I
are
know.
additional charges. So I will not tell people to start an Etsy business of making shivs in jail. And then I'm curious of how you're going to get it out of prison.
There you go.
Hey, don't worry about it. Donnie knows a guy. He's good.
Donnie knows a guy. I'm going to turn this down because it looks like my forehead is like, there we go. I have a forehead.
Oh,
I
look at
wasn't
that.
going to tell you anything about your flights because you were awful salty at the beginning of it. Yes,
No,
folks.
that's because you were telling me I wasn't on the one that I was on and wouldn't listen to me.
Yes, folks. She set it up like 2 seconds before we taped today. You know,
Yes.
Sassy Sarah's right on top of that. Let me tell you what.
And I've had it for
I do
months
have
and I
another
just kept
question.
forgetting.
Oh, yeah. Quit interrupting us, Sarah. Donnie has another question.
Ooh, no, have you seen in your practice, have you heard of from your clients more people being called or questioned for an audit? If the IRS, have they implemented that, they're going to increase their employee count to do more auditing? Have you seen any impact of that yet?
Not necessarily. So I've seen where they get letters for adjustments, depending on what the adjustment is. I know that they're going more that route instead of saying, hey, we're auditing everything. It's like, hey, we received these documents. This is where we see a discrepancy. Because if I get an audit, more than likely I'm going to outsource that. We could handle it, but dealing with IRS audits, you never know how long they're going to take, and they're just a pain.
Yeah.
It depends on the client. So like,
And do you think the IRS is going to utilize AI, artificial intelligence, to do their
they already have.
right?
Yeah.
So
And they've had computer systems. That's where you got flagged. So there was a rule a very long time where if you extended your tax return, you were going to flag yourself for an audit if you filed late. So a lot of people are paranoid about extending, and it's like, no, you can extend and make a payment. That's not you're automatically going to be selected for audit. Especially now with technology, they're looking at the information they receive if yours differ, and then if, for example, like the earned income credit that they're now going to not audit as much, if you got a large refund, they may take bigger looks at that. So I think it's more of, and don't hold me to it. I mean, they may look at it if you owe taxes too. I think they're just going to mainly focus on the people getting the refund, especially large refunds or not paying any taxes. That's just my speculation though.
Right. I think that could be another topic, whether it's for tax purposes or insurance purposes, about the future with artificial intelligence and how it's going to impact both of our industries.
Yes, I don't think there's going to be, AI is going to help to a point, but there's only so much it can do because there's always ever changing scenarios of bookkeeping and accounting and tax work, such that the AI is not going to be able to kind of keep up. I know it self learns, but the things that are provided to us, I don't see it being that big of an issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's just me.
You know, it's crazy. I think of crazy things when I'm not paying attention when you guys are talking. And I think it's in Switzerland. They have like an AI robot and they gave it citizenship. So say if, down the road you want to marry, it's not for real. I'm not making this stuff up. So if I decide to get a robot as my domestic partner in Switzerland, does that have to pay taxes?
If they earn an income, I could see it going down that route. But
We
I'm
laugh
like,
about
what is
this,
it with people?
but 5-10 years now, they're going to be guys marrying robots. That's going to happen.
So
Let me put in a note here before you continue, Sarah. For those of you that are listening to this podcast, Sarah has her head in her hands, like shaking, like, oh, unbelievable. What is that?
I think we're going to have a Patreon recording where Eddie can go into this topic, because this is not a topic we need to cover for everybody else, because not a lot of people want to hear.
And can you write off your electricity, because that's the only thing you're feeding her.
Again, not going into that one. We'll do it on a Patreon.
What's going to be the caption today? Do I have to pay taxes in jail, or do I have to pay taxes on my electronic girlfriend?
I think we're done today.
I'm gonna call it too. When Eddie goes off is so far off topic.
Oh, I got a headache now. Oh my God.
Yes. Although I will say we need to have this conversation and put it on the Patreon.
Yeah, we will.
Oh my God. If you guys knew, like me wringing his neck on the videos or doing this moment or using my mom's voice, is because Eddie thinks about marrying robots. I mean, that's just his random thought process that happens off camera.
I broke up with my robotic girlfriend. She cheated on me with the microwave. Oh.
I think you've been in the boxing ring one too many times.
One too many times.
Little punchy, yeah.
Although Eddie is going back in the boxing ring in Chicago this month, which
we are actually going to broadcast from there.
We're going to do a podcast out there. I'm going to try to take some videos and pictures that we can add to it.
And just so you know, I cannot talk about things in the future, or Sarah hollers at me like yesterday.
But it's
I'm not saying nothing. That's not off script.
It is a known fact that you are going to box this month unless something happens. Goodness forbid.
Yes.
And that was me knocking on wood, if anybody curious. It's more of, unless it's finalized or before it's finalized, don't talk about it, because you get so excited, which I get.
I'm not going to talk about our special guest tomorrow.
I was going to say, we can just say we have a special
guest. The new addition to the EBI family. No, I'm not even he's part of the, what's his contract going on? EBSM or EBI?
EBSM.
So me and Sarah had our first offspring, and you'll get to meet that person tomorrow. Well, not me and Sarah. Oh, kind of. Like, I gotta say, okay, I'm gonna go off topic here for a second. The
Again?
name of our corporation is EBSM.
Those are our initials. It's not my fault.
LLC.
EBSM. Is it Inc. or LLC, Sarah? I don't know.
I think it's LLC. I have a
Well,
look.
on our Amazon stuff, it's Inc.
Well, it could be. Who knows? I don't know. I have to go back and look. Maybe it is
Oh.
Inc.
Well, I'm sorry that this got derailed like it does all the time.
All the time.
But like we say, and sometimes it's hard to say with a straight face. You want to work with people just like you. You know, there's a lot
There's
of people like
nobody
us,
like
believe
you.
it or not. Thank you,
Nobody else
Donnie.
like
You hear
you,
that
Eddie.
compliment, sis? You
I
just-
do. And you know what? I was thinking the same thing because I think our world would implode if there were multiple Eddies.
So if you want to deal with people just like us, just like you can meet us. You can't meet us. Well, you eventually can meet us, but you can reach us all at ebiagency.com. The links that I just pulled up of Sarah's business is there too, McCutcheon Advisory Service. You can see some fantastic pictures of Robin the Girl Wonder if you look hard enough. It's almost like we'll do like a where's Robin instead of where's Waldo. Where's Robin? Oh, there she is. There she is. There she is. So we're gonna end this mess for Sassy Sarah, Sassy Salty Sarah, your buddy Donnie Lowe, and your buddy Eddie Buffalo. Tune in tomorrow. You'll get to meet the next member of our family. And have we even know what we're gonna talk about tomorrow, Don? Maybe you know what? We'll have that person come up with a question.
That's a great idea.
There you
So
go.
I know he's gonna be watching. Oh, I said he could have been a she. I pronouns, whatever. But you do your homework because you need to come up with a question tomorrow for Eddie Buffalo and Donnie Lowe. So everybody have a great day and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Ciao.
See ya.
I always look for that button. One of these days I'm gonna get it
Still
right.
can't find
One
it.
of these
I still
days.
can't find it. That's not it. That's a
Making
whole
it an
different-
awkward
that's-
ending.
That's a whole
Great.
different show, let me tell you what. All right, bye.